What up, guys? Welcome to Downtown Ring Melo. You're listening to the Entertainment Report on iHeartRadio, live from Dubai for Monday, May 11th, 2020, delivering some major stories and trends going on in the world of entertainment and beyond. You can follow the show on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Facebook.com/Entertainment Report with Ray Melo. That's RAYMELO. On Twitter at The Enter Report, or on Instagram at The Entertainment Report. You can listen to the show anytime you want on iHeartRadio. Just go to iHeart.com or your iHeart phone app, search for The Entertainment Report, and it'll take you to the page. I hope everyone had a great Mother's Day weekend. Little Richard, the high pompadour singer, songwriter, and pianist whose explosive performance had set early rock and roll afire, died Saturday. He was 87. Pastor Bill Minson, a close friend of the singer, confirmed this death to the Associated Press. Minson said he also spoke to the entertainer's son and brother and noted that the family is not releasing the cause of death. Little Richard called himself the architect of rock and roll. As much as he loved hyperbole and self-promotion, he was pretty much right. His musical career extended over 7 decades, but he created the blueprint for rock and roll and for rock's most glorious excess in just more than 2 years at its beginning. He spent much of the rest of his life torn between the earthy impulse that brought him fame and the church that never stopped calling to him. Born on December 5th, 1932 in Macon, Georgia, Richard Penniman grew up listening to gospel. He particularly idolized Sister Rosetta Tharpe and started performing on the Chitlet circuit in his teens, including a stint as Princess Lavon in A Dress in Heels. He recorded a handful of likable blues tracks in the early 50s, but his breakthrough didn't come until the second day of his debut recording session for Specialty Records in September 1955. Tutti Frutti, a risque song he'd been playing at clubs, got a G-rated rewrite and a microphone-shrieking performance, beginning with Richard's immortal cry of "Owamp-bam-a-loo-lam, owamp-bam-boom." Ferociously intense, loud, and speedy, the revised Tutti Frutti was an immediate hit, and when Richard briefly took off for the West Coast, his manager Clint Brantley hired the still unknown James Brown to tour under his name. During the course of 1956, Richard banged out one rock and roll classic after another, Long Tall Sally, Rip It Up, and Good Golly Miss Molly, among others. White rock and roll artists from Elvis Presley to Pat Boone rushed to cover his records, and he appeared in a string of quickie rock movies, including the minor classic The Girl Can't Help It in 1956. Little Richard and his band, the Upsetters, were a major concert attraction, with the spotlight focused on the singer's outrageous outfits, hairstyle, and onstage antics, bounding up and down, jumping onto his piano, howling and growling. In 1957, Little Richard released his debut album, Here's Little Richard, one of the early start-to-finish classic LPs in rock history. The album reached number 13 on the then-named best-selling pop album chart. But in October of that year, while on tour in Australia, the most flamboyant star of his time announced that he was quitting the music business to join the ministry. When he returned to recording in 1959, it was as a gospel singer to mute responses. The 16 Billboard chart hits he recorded during his initial stint at Specialty would overshadow the rest of his career. By 1962, though, he started performing his secular material on stage again and recorded a few singles credited to the world's famous Upsetters. The Beatles, enormous fans of Richard's from the start, opened for him on tour. The whopping refrain of I Saw Her Standing There was an obvious homage to Richard, who went on to incorporate it into his own repertoire. He spent the following decade or so hopscotching between labels, recording iffy remixes of his hits, working with soon-to-be famous musicians including Jimi Hendrix and Billy Preston, and occasionally turned up briefly on the charts. Bama Lama Lou in 1964 was basically a Tutti Frutti sequel. 1970's Freedom Blues made the top 50 on the Billboard Hot 100 singles charts. In the mid-70s, after years of an expensive cocaine habit, he quit rock again and returned to the religious life. He told his biographer Charles White for 1985's The Life and Times of Little Richard, the Quasar of Rock, I have rejected homosexuality, I have rejected sex, now I get my thrills from the ministry. He wasn't always so severe, though. A couple of years later, he told John Waters for Playboy, I love gay people. I believe I was the founder of gay. I'm the one who started to be so bold telling the world. He was also identified as omnisexual, bisexual, and gay in various interviews over the year, telling Penthouse in 1995, I've been gay all my life, and I know God is a God of love, not of hate. White's aforementioned biography was intent to launch Richard's return to show business, but he was slowed by a near-fatal 1985 car accident. Great Gosh Almighty, a gospel rock hybrid released that year on the Down and Out in Beverly Hills soundtrack, was his final solo chart hit. Richard stopped making albums after 1992, although he continued to tour extensively and contribute occasional tracks to tribute albums, including a memorable take on I Feel Pretty for 1996 The Songs of West Side Story. Hip surgery in 2009 left him confined to a wheelchair. In 2013, he declared that he was done with performing. He told the Honolulu Star Bulletin in 2003, I've been many things, and I am many things. I am the creator, emancipator, inventor, the king, originator of beauty, the bronze Liberace, our original Georgia peach, a human atom bomb, international treasure, living flame, and a southern child. Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, Ringo Starr, Jerry Lee Lewis, Jimmy Page, Brian Wilson, Patti Smith, Carole King, and Stephen Van Zandt were among musicians paying tribute to Little Richard. Bob Dylan wrote an impassioned series of tweets about the man he called, quote, my shining star and guiding light back when I was only a little boy. He was the original spirit that moved me to do everything I would do. I played some shows with him in Europe in the early 90s and got to hang out in his dressing room a lot. He was always generous, kind, and humble, and still dynamite as a performer and musician, and you could still learn plenty from him. In his presence, he was always the same Little Richard that I first heard and was awed by growing up, and I always was the same little boy. Of course, he'll live forever, but it's like a part of your life is gone. Brian Ferry, the lead singer of the band Roxy Music, spoke for the sense of awe Richard inspired in many aspiring rockers when he gained fame in the late 1950s, telling The Guardian, he hit me and the rest of my generation like a bolt of lightning. On social media, Mick Jagger called Richard the biggest inspiration of my early teens. His music still had the same raw and electric energy when you played it now as it did when it first shot through the music scene in the mid-50s. When the Rolling Stones were on tour with him, I would watch his moves every night and learn from him how to entertain and involve the audience. Jagger's bandmate Keith Richards says, there'll never be another. He was the true spirit of rock and roll. While Ronnie Wood said, I shall miss him. God bless Little Richard. Rest in peace. Jerry Lee Lewis said he will live on always in my heart with his amazing talent and his friendship. He was one of a kind, and I will miss him dearly. All agree Richard, whose real name was Richard Penniman, was a pioneer of rock and roll class with the true greats of the genre. Director Ava DuVernay said, I served soul food brunch to Little Richard every Sunday for a year in L.A. He tipped me a crisp $100 bill each week. Van Zandt, a member of Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band and an actor on The Sopranos, said, rest in peace, Little Richard, the man who invented rock and roll. Elvis Presley popularized it. Chuck Berry was the storyteller. Richard was the archetype. Bruno Mars lit a Richard-branded candle on Instagram with the caption, Love You, Little Richard, while the Oscar-winning film director Spike Lee said rest in peace to one of the true creators of rock and roll and added a reference to the commercial I directed with Little Richard and Michael Jordan in 1991. Tom Jones posted footage to Twitter of him and Richard performing Rip It Up on television together in 1970, saying Richard's, quote, broke all the rules and you weren't afraid to show it. Other musicians acknowledged his influence on the music that came in the wake of the rock and roll he played. Joan Jett called him the original glam rocker, and he took a lot of abuse for being in the first wave. He forged a path for all of us who followed. Meanwhile, tweets about how Richard married some artists and stars in his second and perhaps a first glance unlikely career as a Christian minister. Van Zandt said, Marie and I were so honored being the first marriage he conducted. We were so lucky to know him. He lives forever in the underground garage. The singer Cyndi Lauper wrote, so sad Little Richard passed away. He married my husband and I. He was really one of the truly great rock and roll singers and one of the rock and roll pioneers. He will be missed. Richards officiated the late Tom Petty's second marriage to Dana York. A statement posted to the Twitter account for Petty, who died in 2017, said, having him there that day filled him and everyone in attendance with joy, awe, and delight. Betty Wright, the soul and R&B singer, has died. Her niece confirmed the news, TMZ reports. In addition to recording hit singles that would promptly sample for years to come, Wright had a prolific career as a producer, songwriter, and background vocalist. Wright grew up singing in her family's gospel group, The Echoes of Joy. During her teenage years, she began a career as a background singer on other artists' recording, and she released her first single as a solo artist in 1967. Her debut album, My First Time Around, was released by APCO in 1968, and it featured her first top 40 hit single, Girls Can't Do What the Guys Do. Clean Up Woman is arguably her best-known song. Released in 1972, it was widely sampled, most prominently by Mary J. Blige on Real Love. Her Grammy-winning song, Where's the Love, arrived in 1974, and her Stevie Wonder-produced single, Where Are You Going to Do With It, came out in 1981. She recorded albums and singles steadily through the 80s and into the 90s. As a background vocalist, she sang on records by Stevie Wonder, David Byrne, Peter Tosh, Gloria Estefan, Jimmy Cliff, Stephen Stills, Alex Cooper, and many others. Wright is also featured on Erykah Badu's 2000 album Mama's Gun. In 2006, she served as a vocal coach to Danity Kane on Diddy's reality show Making the Band. Wright was 66. Andre Harrell, the hip-hop R&B mogul and founder of the visionary label Uptown Records, has died. He was 59. The Revolt Network, where Harrell worked as vice chairman, confirmed Harrell's passing in a statement. They said, everyone in the Revolt family is devastated by the loss of our friend, mentor, and vice chairman. Andre's impact on hip-hop and the culture on us has been immeasurable and profound. May he rest in peace. In 1983, Harrell met Russell Simmons, who brought him into the fold at his label Def Jam Records. Within 2 years, Harrell became vice president and general manager of Def Jam. By 1986, Harrell had left to pursue the creation of his own label, Uptown Records. Uptown Records became the home of acts that established a new kind of relationship between R&B and hip-hop, one in which the styles of the genres became enmeshed. Al B. Shore, Mary J. Blige, Jodeci, and Guy, which featured a New Jack Swing pioneer and Teddy Riley, were all R&B acts that leaned heavily on the cultural influence of hip-hop, while Heavy D and the Boys, a hip-hop act, sanded down to the jagged edge of rap with soul samples and R&B collaborations, pushed forth the musical ideas of Harrell. In 1992, MCA made a $50 million multi-deal with Uptown, giving Harrell the opportunity to produce films, TV, and movie soundtracks. As a result, the mogul produced the 1991 comedy Strictly Business, starring an up-and-coming Halle Berry and Tommy Davidson. Harrell also executive produced the TV series New York Undercover, which ran during the 80s. Harrell is known for coining the term ghetto fabulous, a phrase that described the aesthetic he was driven to encapsulate, simultaneously relatable and remarkable. Harrell went on to bring that lifestyle to the forefront of mainstream media. He told the Los Angeles Times in 1992, "My goal is to bring real black America just as it is, not watered down, to people everywhere through music, through films, through everything we do." Harrell was 59. German-born entertainer Roy Ludwig Horn, one half of the stage duo Siegfried and Roy, has died complications from the coronavirus. He was 75. People reported he died in Las Vegas hospital Friday. He had been diagnosed with COVID-19 last month. Siegfried Fischbacher said in a statement to Variety, "Today the world has lost one of the greats of magic, but I've lost my best friend. From the moment we met, I knew Roy and I together would change the world. There could be no Siegfried without Roy, and no Roy without Siegfried. Roy was a fighter his whole life, including during these final days. I give my heartfelt appreciation to the team of doctors, nurses, and staff at Mountain View Hospital who worked heroically against this insidious virus that ultimately took Roy's life." Siegfried and Roy traveled the world performing at Glissic Magic and Big Cat shows starting in 1967. The duo's residency at the Mirage in Vegas began in 1989 and lasted until 2003 when Horn's white tiger, Montecore, dragged him by the neck off stage, seriously injuring him in the process. Doctors believe he had a stroke. Horn defended the tiger in an interview with Las Vegas Weekly in 2013. Horn said, "I had high blood pressure at that time, and because of the energy level of the show, I got excited and passed out on stage and fell. Unfortunately, Montecore looked at me with his big blue eyes and was confused, and so he picked me up by the neck. He brought me to the side so he can attend to me, but we need to rectify he never attacked me. If a tiger attacks you, you're finished." MGM Resorts paid tribute to Roy on Twitter. The company said the world lost a legendary figure with the passing of Roy Horn. His story and the story of Siegfried and Roy are larger than life. Our hearts go out to Roy's family and friends, and most notably to Siegfried, who shared a lifetime of magic and friendship with this special man. Saturday Night Live satirized the current trend of using video conference technology in graduation ceremonies for social distancing students during the COVID pandemic. SNL cast member Kate McKinnon played a high school principal during her best to inspire a group of teens at home wearing makeshift caps and gowns. Frequent guest star Alec Baldwin brought back his U.S. President Donald Trump impression to serve as keynote speaker at the virtual event. Wearing his signature Make America Great Again hat and swig from a bottle of bleach when he had a cough, Baldwin, as Trump, admitted he did his own makeup since his valet tested positive for the COVID virus. Trump said, "I had to restore to Eliza Minnelli TikTok makeup tutorial. I'm so honored to be your valid dictator, but today it's not about me, it's about you. You're actually lucky to be graduating right now. There are so many exciting new jobs out there like grocery store bouncer, cam girl, porch pirate, amateur nurse, and coal. Don't forget about coal. It's in the ground, and you just dig down and grab it." One of the students can be heard yelling, "I don't want to do that." This weekend's edition of SNL was the sketch comedy show's season 45 finale and third episode filmed remotely at the stars' homes during the pandemic. Billy Crystal, Tiffany Haddish, Kenan Thompson, and Byron Allen are set to co-host Sunday's Feeding America Comedy Festival on NBC. Among the comedians contributing to the pre-recorded comedy segments are Louis Anderson, Judd Apatow, Jack Black, Wayne Brady, Adam Carolla, Cedric the Entertainer, Andrew Dice Clay, Dion Cole, Dane Cook, Whitney Cummings, Tommy Davidson, Ben Egenval, Mike Epps, Tina Fey, Billy Gardell, Brad Garrett, Whoopi Goldberg, Kevin Hart, Taraji P. Henson, Kevin James, Jamie Kennedy, Keegan-Michael Key, George Lopez, John Lovitz, Howie Mandel, Sebastian Maniscalco, Tim Meadows, Eddie Murphy, Caroline Ray, Chris Rock, Adam Sandler, Selma Silverman, J.B. Smoove, Cheryl Underwood, and Marlon Wayans. The 2-hour show will also feature appearances by Michael Che, Will Smith, Will Ferrell, Wanda Sykes, Stephen Colbert, and Colin Quinn. The show is a collaboration of NBC's Byron Allen's Entertainment Studios, or Funny or Die. It will air as many U.S. residents are practicing social distancing during the coronavirus pandemic, which has killed more than 200,000 people worldwide. It can be seen on NBC and Entertainment Studios platforms such as the Weather Channel and Comedy TV. It will stream on the app Local Now. Viewers will be urged to contribute and volunteer and donate at www.feedingamerica.org/comedyfest. And speaking of Kevin Hart, he announced on Instagram Sunday that his pregnant wife, Aniko, is expecting a girl. Hart captioned 2 backyard family photos in which Aniko showed off her baby bump and wears a pink sash. "Happy Mother's Day to this beautiful woman and wife of mine. We love you at Aniko Hart, and we are thrilled about the arrival of our baby girl, family of 6. Woohoo. God is unbelievable. We are blessed to have you in our lives. All I can say is thank you, honey." She shared the same photos on her Instagram account. She wrote, "Oh, baby, it's a little lady. This Mother's Day, God has blessed us with another baby girl. This pregnancy felt the exact same because when we were having another boy, I literally screamed, laughed, and cried when we found out this time around that because she and Kenzo are what I've always prayed for. Dreams really do come true, and we are filled with so much joy. Can tell you, look at Zoe. Our little family is growing and starting to finally feel complete. Soon enough, the little ones will be running and bossing us all around. She is already loved in so many ways, and we're so anxious to meet her." Hart announced his wife's pregnancy in March. The couple already are parents to a 2-year-old son, Kenzo Cash. Kevin has a 15-year-old daughter, Heaven, and a 12-year-old son, Hendrix, from his previous marriage to Tori Hart. America Ferrera announced on Instagram she has given birth to her second child, a daughter. She captioned a photo of her holding her newborn's hand. "Lucia Marcel Williams arrived on May 4th to give me my Mother's Day hugs and kisses herself. Mama, Dada, and Big Brother are over the moon to welcome her bright light to our family. Quarantine may have canceled her baby shower, but it didn't stop us from collecting and delivering essential supplies to #YesWeCan mobile schools. Spaces for moms and children at the border to learn, play, and stay safe through these hard times. Dear friends, if you're considering sending Lucia a gift, please donate to at Yes We Can WF in her name, or make a donation today in honor of the moms you love. Visit www.yeswecan.world for more info. Thank you at Ilsa Marie Collins, at Eva Longoria, and at This Is About Humanity for organizing the baby shower and donations. And thank you to all my friends and loved ones who donated gifts to support these beautiful families. Enjoy the videos of your gifts reaching families. Ferrera announced her pregnancy in January. She has been married to filmmaker Ryan Pierce Williams since 2011. They have a 2-year-old son named Sebastian. And finally, rapper YoungBoy Never Broke Again's 38 Baby 2 is number 1 on the U.S. album charts. Coming in number 2 on the Billboard 200 charts dating Saturday is The Baby's Blame It On Baby, followed by Lil Uzi Vert's Eternal Awake at number 3, The Weeknd's After Hours at number 4, and Lil Baby's My Turn at number 5. Rounding up the top tier are Post Malone's Hollywood's Bleeding at number 6, Bad Bunny's YHLQMDLG at number 7, Roddy Ricch's Please Excuse Me for Being Antisocial at number 8, Travis Scott's Astroworld at number 9, and Megan Thee Stallion's Sugar at number 10. And that is your entertainment report for Monday, May 11th, 2020. I'm your host, Mr. Downtown Ray Melo. I'll be back tomorrow to deliver some major stories and trends going on in the world of entertainment and beyond. You can follow the show on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Facebook.com/The Entertainment Report with Ray Melo. That's RAYMELO. On Twitter at The Enter Report, or on Instagram at The Entertainment Report. You can listen to this episode or any previous episodes of The Entertainment Report anytime you want on iHeartRadio. Just go to iHeart.com or your iHeart phone app. Search for The Entertainment Report, and it'll take you to the page. Good night, and God bless you all.